Hello, everyone. My name is Christine Yule, and I'm here today with Kristin, and this is our 20th episode of Walking the Path, a show that we put up on YouTube that's just really about exploring where each of us are at on our paths and what we're noticing in the collective or with friends and family, and exploring dominant themes of how do we integrate our spiritual path with our quote human needs, and really just find something that truly works, so we're not stuck in old routines or stuck in a spiritual bypass where we're not addressing what we need on all levels. So welcome, Kristin, and let's just begin, for those who are new, by saying a few things about where you're at and what you're up to.
Hi, Christine. Thanks for coming together with me again for episode 20. And right now, this is, I think, our second episode that we've recorded together since Tanner and I have relocated to the little Gulf island called Gabriola off the coast of BC. And we're really enjoying being here. And we've been taking the holiday season and the New Year transition to reassess and restructure what we're offering to the world, and taking some time to learn some new skills and deepen our understanding of all that we love to share with the world. And so our main focuses are hosting sacred cacao ceremony, and we love to combine that with yoga, meditation, and our newest endeavor, which I was just sharing, is learning kirtan, so that we can share the devotional chanting of the yogic lineage in conjunction with cacao at our ceremonies. And it's been totally fun. So we're looking forward to seeing where that takes us. And what about you? What's new for you for 2019?
Well, this is the beginning of the third month in my space, where I've lived here in Calgary before. So it's a blessing to be back. I have an in-person class tonight and one online on Thursday. So I've been doing in-person and online classes. Tonight's called Igniting the Fire of Being You. So everything I do is just about personal empowerment, greater self-love, authentic self-expression, just knowing and being who we are and getting to show up in the world in an authentic, true and honest way with integrity, so that our path is more clear and harmonious, and just that we can clear away old patterns, beliefs, and ways of doing things that just no longer serve or benefit us and others. So simplify, release a lot of complexity, and get to enjoy this journey and this time and being here. And I've been doing more private sessions, and now I'm starting to get more phone calls for different things. And I'm also developing something called love-based learning. And so we're transitioning out of, or many of us are transitioning out of the fear-based learning model, which is punishment reward, where love is a reward. So if you're bad, love is taken away. If you're good, you get the love. And that model for many of us is devastating and really is hard on our nervous system, and we can't function well in it. So love-based learning is saying love is the platform, and then your action and what you do is based on your curiosity, exploration, and authentic desire to know and be you in the world. So love it's not a commodity, it's just a vibration that's available to support action. So I'm developing that. I started to write blogs on it, and so that will be a focus for this year.
Wow, so, I love it.
Jump into our exploration for today. Where shall we start?
Well, on the love theme, I was telling you that we've come across a lot of friends and family members who are really looking to start 2019 with new things, and there seems to be obviously there's a theme among the people that we love to spend our time with, of love and emanating that vibration of love through their work, through their life's offerings to others. And a lot of people are feeling sort of stuck and they don't know how to start. And a lot of people are looking for some sort of permission. And, our motto has been, jump first, just go for it, and figure out the details later. But if you feel the calling, act on that calling. If you feel passionate and excited about something and inspired, don't let that flame go out. Work on it while it's big and bright, and then figure out the details as you go. And I think there's this old paradigm perception that as we present ourselves to the world, it has to be perfect. like right off the bat. It's got to be, you've got to look like a pro from day one. But how do we learn? Like where's the room for learning and growth for ourselves, right? So, what kind of perspective do you have on that for people that are looking to start following their passions in the new year?
Yeah. Well, I think one is to acknowledge that in order to find new ways of being and doing things, that comes through taking action from where we are, right? Which I think was a theme of our last talk. Because the old model in fear-based learning, punishment reward, is that, you have to have it all figured out or else there's a big consequence. So choice comes with the potential of big negative consequences. So then there's like, oh no, I have to get it right. I have to do the right thing. And so there's a lot of stagnation and a lot of fear to take any action, because what if you make the wrong choice? You're going to be punished. And often we've internalized that so much that we won't love ourselves until we actually do the right thing, but we don't even know what that is. So that creates like a stranglehold of our life force energy. And that's why a lot of people from my perspective are suffering depression and anxiety and all these things, because we're just feeling so stuck and controlled. So to get out of that paradigm is to say, okay, what if love could be my base? And learning and growth came through exploration and curiosity and starting from where I am. What is my interest? Okay, what's one step I can take? Because when it's no longer like, I'm going to be loved more if I do the right thing, and I'm going to be loved less if I do the wrong thing. It's like, I'm loved. What would I like to do to expand, right? To have a new experience, to be around different people, to know myself anew. So we're no longer confined by who we think we are and who we think, or how we think other people see us. Like just that, there's just so many, like we want to basically bust out of the old identities that we've been confined by. So it's like, well, who am I now? Like giving ourselves permission to expand and change, which is what some of us don't do, especially if we're in family structures that value sameness or consistency, right? Then we're like, oh, I can't change too much or they'll disown me or hate me or be mad at me or something. I have to stay consistent. But for our own well-being, we actually have to, at some point of this walking the path, choose what's right and true for us, even if it feels like we're going to lose everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And sort of, in a way, the walking the path for Tanner and I over the last 6.5 years has been, maybe you can only see the next step. Maybe you can't see 10 miles down the path. Usually we can't. And I think there's this desire for our human minds to be able to see, like I need to see the next 6 months to a year. To some people, they need a 5-year plan. And I think getting comfortable with knowing what one step is and feeling secure and safe to just say, I'm going to take this one step because I know it's the right one today. And then know that as you step onto that stepping stone, the next one will be illuminated. And that is how it works. And a lot of people are completely in awe of, how do you guys do what you do? Well, that's really the secret. I think it's one of the main secrets is just take a step. Just put yourself out, take that one step, take a deep breath, and then see what happens.
Mm-hmm. And get in the practice of taking an action, then receiving information or awareness from that action. So when we're in the mind, often we don't value receiving, we just value what we're giving or doing for others, or whether we're doing it right or wrong. But when we can get into the practice of I take a step and then I receive information like, oh, wow, I really like that, or wow, that I didn't enjoy that at all. Okay, what could I do different? So that capacity to receive awareness or that capacity to reflect on what we've chosen can also refine, right, our choice process. But it is like building a muscle. Yeah, instead, because the world is changing. Like, and that's, I think, as we become more authentic too, we're more in harmony with the earth, right? And elements and energies of life. And there's cycles in that, right? And so we become aware of like, oh, wow, I'm really inspired to take a lot of action now. Like say this last week, I was inspired to like record all these audios and do all these things. And I had a sense of, I wanted to do them before this day with no real, like, it's not like anything was happening on this day that I was aware, consciously aware, but it was just this real commitment to complete these 7 audios. And then the next day I was just off. So I wouldn't have been in a space to record audio. So it's just fascinating. So, but yeah, just having that freedom, right, to choose. And then as we choose that, we'll receive information just by showing up at a place, inquiring about something, like just like you talked about maybe before we got on the recording, just about, talking to different yoga studios or different spaces where you could have events. And just by showing up and communicating, you'll get a sense of what's the vibe like, how would it be working with this person? Like there's just so much that we can receive through action and we won't get the feedback we need if we don't take any action.
Absolutely. And what you just said there reminds me of like the idea of webbing and connecting, like moving forward through life in connection with others and the other energies and the other matching vibrations to where we're at, and just seeking those things out, and how much more ease comes with that, rather than trying to be a human bulldozer and just like plow your way forward. Instead, talk to the people that you feel good talking to, talk to the people are on a similar wavelength and have a similar perspective to you. No one has to match you exactly, but, share with those people what your intention is for this one next step. Or, if you feel comfortable enough, you can share a longer term vision. And, really how a lot of our connections happen is through word of mouth, is through people saying to us, oh, do you know this place, or do you know these people? You would love each other. And knowing that we're being our authentic selves enough so that someone can gauge those matchups. It's effortless to just totally be yourself and exude the vibe and the presence that is the true one that matches, your divine self, and then allowing that to be seen and felt. And it just seems to fall into place. And that doesn't mean there aren't, pauses or hiccups or, shifts in that energy, but they pass, like you said. And so when the pull is there, just, going for it and allowing those connections to unfold naturally.
Mm-hmm. And I think just having the courage to build new relationships and get curious about what is possible and available now, because many of us carry just trauma from relationships, or where we decided never mind, or I'm better on my own, or we make these decisions throughout time as a way to cope with our environment or experience, and then we don't question them later down the road, right? So that many of us can get caught trying to do it all on our own. Like I knew I had to work through a lot of points of views that I carried around, like, well, no one can really help me, or just all these things that I had internalized based on a set of experiences that I had to consciously choose to change. Like, what if someone can? And it's amazing how our nervous system can get wired in certain ways, and then we want to just validate our perspectives instead of have healing relationships, right? Which is like getting to experience true compatibility, right? So with true compatibility, you don't have to modify yourself for the relationship to work. And many of us are like, what would that be like, right? But that's what's coming to fruition now, or I know I've experienced that way more in the last couple of years. You and I would be an example of that, where it's just authentic compatibility. So there isn't like, oh, I can't say this, I have to be this, da 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 da. We can just surrender our need to modify ourselves to have relationship, start to really birth the possibility of authentic connection and true compatibility. So then that's where trust comes from, because it's like, oh, well, I can be me, so I'm in my true alignment, so then my discernment is like available. But if I'm having to become a chameleon, then I won't even know my own intuition anymore, and we get lost. So what new relationships can we build now that supports us in our work, in our personal well-being, and also in our collective awareness of what we could contribute to the bigger picture of things?
Absolutely. And another thing that just popped into my mind listening to what you're saying there was the theory of, and I can't remember who I originally heard say this, maybe in like a TED Talk or a podcast or something, I can't remember, years ago, but I've heard it pop up again and again recently through various people. And that is the concept of us sort of morphing and evolving into a matching vibration of, I want to say it's either 3 or 5 people that we spend the most time around. And so I remember hearing that for the first time probably 6 or 7 years ago. And it always stuck with me, you know, and so I think I've become more and more discerning who I connect with and spend my time and energy listening to and sharing with and being around, both in my personal life and when it comes to business things. And it's only served me well. And it can be difficult sometimes to have to make those choices and those adjustments, but it's never steered me wrong. And there's growth opportunities in all of it. You know, it's all about recognizing how we feel. And like you said, when you've got to constantly censor yourself and adjust your words and your actions to suit the needs of others, it's exhausting, and it's taking us further away from who we really are. And so I think that's great advice to share with everyone.
Mm-hmm. Well, in terms of the quote law of attraction, or just that the law of mirroring, or the sense that we get back what we put out, right? And all these concepts can be very simplified and confused in the personal development field. But one thing that has been true for me is that I became aware of this one moment of, wow, if I'm quote vibrating or being my authentic expression, like my true vibration, if you will, then what I'll experience will be actually more in alignment with who I am, right? But if I'm around all these people or an environment where I'm modifying myself to suit the needs of others, or to suit my own needs for connection or something like that over my authentic presence, then what I'm going to bring in is not really a true reflection of who I am. So then I'll never get to experience, like, where am I even at? Right? Like, what's our true alignment? Like, when we're like, I know I went to a New Year's event, and my priority was just to really show up as me. So I went on my own to this event with like 150 people, because I was so curious, like, who do I meet when I'm totally in my own frequency and field? And it was the most epic night I've had in so long. And it was so fun, and just so like, wow, like I got to actually experience what's like in my true frequency, just like who I meet, how I connect, like how things unfolded, and the alignment. It was so amazing. So we can, come, basically people talk about it as sovereignty, but where we're letting go of our energetic codependency or types of entanglements that prevent us from getting to experience our true alignments. And what would it be like to actually have this year be about our true compatibility and us getting to meet and have those healing relationships, which just means like, oh, I get to be me, and this relationship is amazing, you know? And so we get to just build that muscle, and then our life force is more there, and we're joy and happiness, like, it just starts to come back, right?
Yeah. And you know, I can hear a little bit of an echo. Hopefully that doesn't disrupt too much. What comes to my mind, now I forgot what I was going to say, but totally lost my train of thought. It was about being yourself. Yes, I remember. Okay. It's all perfectly aligned. So what I was going to say is, the biggest thing for me that I've really worked on over the last probably 4 years, and every year I get better and better at it, is letting go of any concern of what other people perceive I am, or how I am, or what I do, or how I do what I do. And all humans have opinions on things. We all make judgments on all kinds of things every day. Especially a lot of people love to make judgments on what other people do and what they say and what they're wearing and how they wear their hair. And I've just been working on peeling back those layers of really caring too much. You know, we all care a bit. You know, for example, today I did a really sweaty yoga practice this morning by the wood stove, and then I had a call with a friend, and then I had this call, and I was like, oh, I need to shower. Oh no. And I'm like, nope, just showing up as myself here. So, you know, it's that may sound trivial, but like for me, that's a pretty big deal. And, so just knowing that, you know, you weren't going to get on the call with me and be like, have you showered today? 'Cause you seem like you haven't, you know, like it's just, taking
different.
what comes.
Yeah, and then we get to experience what the space when so many of those layers, because as we each personally peel them away, then we come together and it's like, because there's almost like a whole layer of noise that's not there, right? There's just
Yeah.
greater freedom. And yeah, and recognize that, like, or what I found is like, I know I'll always deeply care about people, but I'm just not going to care about their judgments. I'm just not going to care about, what they say that isn't even coming from an authentic place. It's just kind of an echo. Like they're not even here. They're just living in some other reality and then overlaying it on this moment. And yeah, so just as we kind of can more accurately perceive the human condition, if you will, before we awaken and have all these healing tools and healing relationships and know ourselves more authentically, we can have compassion for the states people are in and set boundaries if required so that we can really choose and prioritize what will gift us and others the most enriching experience. And it really came through a class recently, like often we decide that if I want to, like, say, be really loving, I'm going to go to a place where there's people in a lot of fear, and then I can bring the most love. But no, you actually go where people have already chosen love, because then you can give the most love there. It's like the opposite, right? It's because with physical things, it's like you if you have food, go to where people are hungry. But with more energetic, emotional things, it's go to where people have already chosen, say like play or exuberance or joy. Like go to where people have already chosen that vibration, to have that vibration in your life. So when you show up, you can amplify it, right? But if they haven't chosen it, like we can't convert each other to authentic self-expression, right? So prioritizing the relationships where people have already chosen what we most value or appreciate, so that we can then just have enriching experiences together.
Absolutely. And even then we can still up level each other, you
Yeah.
know, where we're already there. But like, I know you love to say, what else is possible? Like, what level can we get to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just know ourselves even more deeply, or be like, oh, wow, I do carry that. Oh, that's interesting. Huh, that came up. Or where's this coming from? Or what is this? Is that true? Da, 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 da. Like just that natural progression that comes with exploration and commitment to walking the path.
Yeah, I love it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you everyone who tuned in for this episode of Walking the Path. And yeah, I wonder what we can act on and what feedback we can receive that to guide our actions in a new ways that leads to just enriching, enhancing life experiences. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Walking the Path.